Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, everyone.
Man, we are pumped that we're back again for another episode of Doing Life with Ken and Tabatha. We're your host. I'm Ken, and this is Tabatha. We've been married for 24 years. We always joke and say it's been the best 22 years of our lives. First 2 years was absolutely horrible.
But we got it together.
We got it together. You're a whole lot better than what you used to be, and me as well. And so now we love to share the good, the bad, and the ugly with our audience. And what we've learned is that everyone needs a mentor. Everybody needs somebody to learn from. And really, it's not just our successes that we like to teach. It's a lot of our failures and our dumb stuff.
Yes.
Because you can really learn what not to do. And so we're pumped up that you are here with us today.
Absolutely. And can we just say thank you? Thank you for being a part of Doing Life with Ken and Tabatha. We are so glad that you are just even tuning in to listen to what we have to say. We always pray that God just uses our lives to be a blessing to other people. So we just pray that you're being blessed by this.
And if this has been a blessing to you, please let us know. You can write a review. You can also send us an email. Your encouragement, your prayers, it really means the world to us. Now, Tabatha is all in one piece, y'all. She's in one piece.
And why do you say that?
Because she recently dropped our oldest daughter off at college. She is attending Oral Roberts University on a full track and cross-country scholarship, and you did good.
I did.
I was concerned about you.
I was concerned about myself, you know, because I was having flashbacks to when she was in fifth grade, she went, Hannah, she's our firstborn, she went to a fifth grade camping trip in Georgia, and we're in Florida. So this was like a 5-hour drive. I drove her there, and I dropped her off, and like, I didn't have a panic attack really, but I felt like I was having a panic attack. I was crying. I called him. He wasn't there. When he picked up the phone, guess where he was? Do you remember where you were?
I have no clue.
You were in the spa about to get a massage.
'Cause I'm always
and
chilling.
I'm freaking out on the other line, and you're like, Tab, she's going to be okay.
Well, already we
just
can
get
tell
it together.
Who freaks out and who chills out. I try to chill out, not freak out. But I'm proud of you, though, because you didn't break down. You did good.
Didn't.
You didn't cry. It actually was a joyous occasion.
It was good, but you know what? I learned, and because I was praying about it a whole lot, seriously, because I had a stomach ache the whole time Hannah was gone in fifth grade. I was like, Lord, I'm not going to do this again. And I heard people say, it's so hard. But I really spent time with the Lord, and the Lord showed me a different perspective.
Okay.
And that perspective is this. It's just like, okay, so why would I feel bad about her going to college?
Yeah.
She's where she should be. She's on scholarship. She's surrounded by great people. She's in a safe environment. I would be sad if she didn't go to college, if she didn't want to do anything, if she were at home on my couch, you know, like making wrong decisions. Like, that's what you want to be sad about. This was something to celebrate. And I did very well.
Hey, so for all of you guys who have kids that are going off to college, you are going to make it. Tabatha is
If I can do
witness.
it, you can do it.
Those of you all who have smaller kids, your day's coming. And it's actually coming sooner than you think.
Sooner than you
People
think.
always used to say, hey, man, this is going to go by so fast. And it did. I can still remember the day she was born and pulling her out of you or helping pull her out of you. I don't know why they had me do so much at the hospital. I'd be like, they say, can you cut the umbilical cord? What? I don't have training for that. I didn't went to school for that. Don't give me scissors.
I personally didn't want you anywhere down near that side of the table. So
yeah, she wasn't coming out easy. So they put a little suction cup on her head, and I remember her hair, and it kind of just pulled her out. And just to see 18 years later, she's such an awesome human being and woman of God. And so we're pumped, guys. We're here with you. She's not crying. I'm not crying. We are filled with the joy of the Lord.
That's right.
And today we have some great things to share with you. Today's episode is entitled 3 Questions That You Must Ask Before Marriage. 3 questions that you must ask before marriage. And this is the episode that you want to share with all of your family and friends, people that are single around the world. I hope this will be a lifeline to you to make sure that you are asking the right questions. We say all the time, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We've been married for 24 years. It's been the best 22 years of our lives. And the first 2 years was horrible. I had a plan to divorce her. We didn't talk. I was shutting down. We were weaponizing sex. All of the principles that we teach you do not do. I was doing those things. And I think a lot of it is because we didn't ask the right questions before we got married.
Right.
Now, we got married when I was 21 years old and you were 23. Okay? And so we got married young. And part of the reason why is because we wasn't living right. But we didn't have a church. We didn't have mentorship.
We really didn't know better.
We didn't know any better, okay? But I had a conviction. And that's what I hope people live by. I had a conviction that, okay, What we're doing is not right. I knew it. She got saved. She didn't know it. She got saved as we started dating. And I just felt like the Lord led me to say, okay, it's time to get married. And I remember when we first was telling people we're going to get married, they thought, man, is she pregnant or something?
Yep.
And I would have to say, no, I just feel like this is what God wants us to do. And it was. 24 years later, it has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. But it also was really, really hard in the beginning because we did not have community. We did not have church.
Right.
We did not have an example. And we did not know to ask the right questions.
Right. Yeah, we were just young and like you said, no mentors, nothing like that. But I just wanted to say this for those people who are already married and feel like, oh man, I did everything wrong. I didn't do this. Now I don't like the person I married. We're not compatible, all that stuff. Like that, all of that doesn't mean anything because like you said, the first 2 years were terrible for us. But for the last 22 years, we have been living the best life. I love you. You love me. I like you and you like me. We were able to turn it all around.
Yeah.
Once we found out the right thing, we did it.
Turn it around. Open the windows of heaven. Pour out a blessing of
I would try to
overflow.
join in, but I don't feel like it's going to come out.
That's
right,
what
so.
we're starting our next podcast with you singing. That's what the people need to hear. But anyway, we didn't have premarital counseling.
Right.
My uncle married us, and he's a pastor. Back then, he was an associate pastor, and man, such a godly man. I love my Uncle
him.
Greg, and he was the one I asked to do our marriage. But because we lived in different cities, and I didn't really go to his church, he said, "Hey, I'm going to give you some premarital counseling." And his premarital counseling was, when was it? Was it like the day before the wedding?
I think so.
I can't remember. It was so long ago, but
so.
it feels like it was the day before the wedding, and it was like a 1 hour, if that, or 30-minute, if that, a 15-minute blitz.
But you know,
I don't know what he said. I don't know what the man said.
I remember one thing that he said, and it's pertaining to like what we're talking about today. So he was giving wisdom.
I just couldn't hear it. I
But
was so
I couldn't
immature.
hear it either. I rebuked it all because the one thing he said was, "She's going to gain weight," and I was like, "Well, I rebuked. I didn't use those terms."
He was spitting facts.
But I was thinking like,
God, he
no,
was
I
spitting
am
facts.
not gaining weight. No,
Right.
I am not.
Right.
And I was going to say, look at me now. No, I definitely weigh more than I did then, but I was thinking like,
But
I am not
most
gaining weight. Like, right.
do.
And he was right. Yeah. We go through changes.
But yeah, so for us, it wasn't like, at our church, we have like this elaborate premarital counseling that's like maybe 13 sessions long or 10 sessions long, or maybe you can go to a therapist and they have like a couple of months of premarital counseling and that's very needed. I wouldn't tell anybody to get married nowadays without premarital counseling. And I feel like people do premarital counseling all wrong. They come to premarital counseling already to determine that this is the person they gonna marry. So it's almost like your premarital counseling is just, let's just check this off the box that I did it. And you're going through premarital counseling while you're online, or what kind of dress you're gonna have, trying to look for a venue. Like there is nothing about your premarital counseling where you're giving God or yourself a chance to say, is this really the one? And so we always teach people, before you say I do, you need to say do I.
So it's like, as a believer, you should almost do premarital counseling before you pop the question.
That's how I
so
believe
like
it.
you're talking, hey, I think this is the direction we want to go. Do you want to do premarital counseling? Let's decide.
Yeah.
Let's really make sure that this is the right thing for us.
Okay, now that's a news flash to some, and we're not trying to rain on your parade, but going forward, for those of you all who are single, our advice to you would be to wait until after premarital counseling to actually get engaged and pop the question. Because going through premarital counseling, it's not for you to say I do, it's for you to say do I.
Do I?
And you can dig in to ask questions like, how many kids do you want to have? What's your credit score? What's your sexual rhythm you think? Hopefully you're not having sex until you get married, but what do you think that's going to be? Or you know what I'm saying? What is our relationship going to be like with the in-laws? I mean, there's so many questions to ask. But I've kind of narrowed it down today. We've narrowed it down to 3 questions. And we really believe if you can ask these questions, these will save you a whole lot of drama. Okay. Are you ready for these?
I'm
okay.
ready.
The 3 questions that you must ask before you say I do. Now, these questions are set up because they will prevent the damage and the divorce. Now, here's the deal. 50% of people who get married end in divorce, but 100% who get married think it's going to last forever. Maybe not 100%. Some people get married and they got some demented stuff in their mind, whatever. But what I'm saying is that the majority of people who get married is like this is till death does us
Yes.
part. There's no need to get married if you don't believe that. But half of them actually have a future that's coming that they don't see and they don't believe when they say, I do. So how we enter into this covenant relationship and the questions that we ask is huge.
Yeah.
These are the 3 game changers here.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Number 1 is, can you handle me changing?
Can you handle me changing?
Number 2 is, can you handle me not changing? And number 3 is, will you love me when you don't like me? Okay. And we're going to break down each one of these.
Okay.
So hold your horses.
Okay.
We're going to break down
I have questions.
You got questions about my questions?
Yes. Well, because I understand number 3, but like number 1, tell me more.
Okay. All right. Can we break them down? Can you handle me changing? Okay. Now, here's the facts. The woman that I married at 23 is not the same woman at 33 and not the same woman at 43 and not the same woman at 53. Who you marry at 30 is not the same person that you're going to be with when they're 60. And my concern is that people marry an image more than they do a real person. Meaning that when we first got together, I married an image, your shape, your size, the needs that you met from me as a young man back then, not really taking in consideration the woman that you would become, how your figure would change, how you would change emotionally, spiritually, and also physically. And so the question is, can you handle me changing? Because it's just like Uncle Greg said, she's going to gain weight. That's not a profile over everybody. That's just saying she's going to change. Can your love go beyond the change that we both will endure?
Yeah. I think, to me, it's a very fair question. But in my mind, it's like, well, yes, of course I can handle you changing because I'm going to be changing. I hope it's change in the right direction.
Well, a lot of people have unreconcilable difference because they change this way. They change apart. They don't change together. And I think that's a whole nother podcast, because since we're all changing or we're all growing, how do we actually grow together?
Yes.
But I think that many times our focus is so much on ourselves and we don't think that that person's changing. So we give ourselves grace. I'm going to change. But we really haven't taken into consideration. I'm going to just tell you, back when I was 19, 20 years old and I asked you to marry me, I didn't count the cost that you would change.
Yeah.
I had no clue. I wasn't that foresighted. I was very short-sighted.
Yeah, I think part of the change, change. There's change and there's growth. You know what I mean? Like, growth is change and change is growth. Yeah. But it's just like there's so many things that I was when we were married that I am not now. You know what I mean? Because I've grown out of them. For example, I'm no longer depressed. I'm no longer bound by fear. I'm no longer, this kind of insecure person,
But
that
honestly,
I was.
that could have been what attracted me to you a little bit.
Right.
And even that, what you call growth, is still something that I would have to adapt to.
Right.
Because when we first got together, I was used to taking care of everything. I helped you get your credit score straight. I helped you learn to drive. I helped you learn about restaurants. I would take you to places
and
you
you
never
may
been
have
on a
liked
plane.
doing that.
I might have liked doing that because I felt like I'm the man and I'm exposing you to the world and things you'd never seen before. But now you turn into this boss lady where you tell me what to do all the time. And if I can't handle that change, then I'm going to want to strangle you.
Come to find out, there was a boss in there the whole time.
I did not know that I signed up to be ran around.
That's not true. Things change. So like when we had kids, that's when a lot of things changed for us. So I had to be like, I couldn't do everything for you the way that I wanted to. So I had to be like, Ken, no, I need you to do this for me. And that's where the bossiness came in. Anyway.
But my question is still good.
Yeah.
Can you handle me changing? Now let's take it from the physical aspect. And so you meet you get married when you're in your 20s, and you like her because she has a belly button shirt on, and she wears a short skirt, and she has high heels all the time. And then later on, she realizes that that's not necessarily chastity, and so she don't put her belly button out there. Her belly button's been stretched by these 3 big head babies she pushed out, or high heels now hurt her feet, like they do tear your feet up, or like wearing some we used to call them Daisy Dukes. What they call them nowadays?
Daisy Dukes.
The little butt huggers.
I don't know. I call them hoochie mama shorts, and the girls get so mad at me when I say that.
So whatever that is, then you find out that's not appropriate. Now, if I can't handle you changing, And this is where some men have a midlife crisis. They want to leave their wife of 25 years and marry someone and go be someone who's 25 and 30 because they're living their life in the past because they just couldn't handle the person they married changing.
Yeah.
You understand the
Yeah.
relevance of this? Can you handle me changing but still love me?
Yeah. And that's the thing. It sounds like you're a butthead if you say no to that. You know what I mean? But it's true because it's those little things where you can start to despise people. If you don't really love them for who they are and what they bring to the table besides, like what they look like, I mean, I fell in love with you not because you're unattractive to me. Like, you looked good. Like, I liked what you looked like. You know what I mean? I liked the way you dress, all of that. Now, if all of a sudden you change and you're not giving your best for me anymore, and now I don't like the way you dress and your beard's down to your knees and you don't brush your teeth, that's going to be hard to deal with. It's going to make me irritated by you.
It leads me to a question, then what do we do? Because that happens to some people. It happens. Some people, man, they tighten their stuff up, man. They go to the gym to get married. I mean, they be in Planet Fitness. I mean, they be hooking it up. Then they get married, 5-10 years go by, and it's like they just done gave up.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to do a podcast on the importance of keeping yourself attractive for your spouse.
For your spouse.
And also for you, But I think about a woman, let's make it, equal opportunity, who marries a guy because he has the six pack, and he's so ambitious and he's the life of the party. 20 years, 30 years into the marriage, he has a keg. And he, is a stay-home dad. Can you still love him?
Yeah.
Can you handle me?
The question is, because how do you know? Because these are the questions. The question is, so, in premarital, before you say I do, how do we know how can we predict? How can we tell what our spouse is going to do? Are they just going to let themselves go? Or are they going to keep up with themselves? I think there's some little hints and clues that we can find. So, for example, when we got married, I was athletic. You were athletic. I've been a runner my whole life. I would do, miles a week. And yes, I had babies and I was also healthy. I was a vegetarian. I was an unhealthy vegetarian at the time, but I did care about my health. I like to cook for myself and I like to just take care of my body. So that was part of the qualities, like those probably aren't going to go away.
Okay.
So I had babies. I gained 60 pounds with my first baby, 60 pounds.
And was eating nothing but oranges and vegetables.
I mean,
she was not out at Krispy Kreme waiting for the light to come on here, people.
Okay. 60 pounds. I have the baby, I lose the weight, I never got back to where I was before, I had the baby, but I lost the weight. I got back in shape because that's just who I was in the first place. I wasn't the kind of person. So like, if you're going to marry someone who doesn't exercise and they like to hit up the drive-through all the time, you can probably predict you're probably going to see that after a year, your youth, is going to leave at one point and that metabolism is going to slow down. And if you don't take care of yourself now, you're probably not going to take care unless there's a major change.
I mean, I think that's a valid point. I mean, you're basically talking about trying to figure out the principles that this person lives by to forecast where they're going to go in the future.
You can tell a tree by its fruit.
However, I'm on the other side. I'm like, your love has to be deep enough to be unconditional.
True.
And I know that that's the part that we want. But the truth is if I did have a beard and I did have a beer belly and I did gain 100 pounds, you said this was for rich or poor, sickness or health till death does us part. And I think that sometimes we don't really think about the poor season or the sick season or the overweight season or the challenge season. And our love is not unconditional. I love you as long as you do this. And so I think what you're saying is 100% right.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is 100% right, that we should try our best to be the best we can be. But at the same time, I think that love should cover a multitude of sins, weaknesses, shortcomings, all of that stuff. And sometimes when I look at the couples who've made it, somehow their love has blinded them to the person. You know what I'm saying? If I look at a 90-year-old man with an 88-year-old wife, and they just barely walking, barely making it, I'm thinking that their love has overcome the frailty.
So many things.
Their body changing, dysfunctions, whatever have you,
Yes.
their love was
Yes.
deeper. And I don't know. I just feel like people nowadays might not get married with that kind of love. And so the question is, can you handle me changing?
Yeah, answer the questions up front.
Can you handle me
See
changing?
up front, okay, they are always late with their bills. You walked in the house and their electric was cut off. This is what you're going to marry, unless there's major changes here, you might have somebody that's never, ever going to be good with money. Don't get married and then get mad at them because they are who they are.
Okay, well, you're going too fast, though.
Okay,
You're going
I'm
too
sorry.
fast.
I'm sorry.
Slow down. Because that's question number 2.
Oh, yeah?
Question number 2 is, can you handle me not changing?
Okay.
So question number 1 is, can you handle me changing? Okay?
For the
question,
bad.
Question number 2 is, no, it's just changing altogether.
Just change.
Stick with
Okay.
me. Just changing altogether. Question number 2 is, can you handle me not changing?
Okay.
Okay? Meaning that, so what we found in marriage is that many times we want to change our spouse into ourselves. Even if on the conscious level, you're like, no, I don't want to do that. On the subconscious level, you kind of want them to be you.
I think that's you. That's you more than me.
I don't know about that. I think you're equal.
I just let you be. I like to let you be.
Subconscious level, and you don't even know that it's there.
No.
You don't let me be. I mean, today there was something you did in the kitchen, and I was like, okay.
Today?
Yeah, I just can't remember
I
it
wasn't
because
even in the kitchen.
I'm like, whatever. But anyway, the question is can you handle me not changing?
Okay.
And so I think many people get disappointed. Let's use an example of a married woman who gets disappointed because he can't keep a job for a long time, but he was like that before you married him.
I got you. Yeah.
Or the guy's playing video games all day, but he was always playing video games
Right.
before you married him. It seems like you do everything,
Yeah.
but before you got married, you was always doing everything.
I got you.
And now you're upset because he's not changing. And so, but the question is, can you handle me not changing? So no matter who we decide leans to that more, whether it's me or you, we subconsciously really try to change our spouse into something. We try to train them into something. And I understand because we want the two to be one and walk in unison just like any team or company. But the question is, can you handle me not changing? For example, you have always been a little untimely, okay? And that's not going to change about you. So it just is what it is. I got to swallow
I
it.
feel like I need to rebuttal.
Well, you don't have to.
It's not a case.
About
I know.
that? Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, you feel I'm untimely, but on my own, I'm timely. It's just that I'm not on your time. I'm untimely every time when it comes to you. But for me, if I have an appointment at 8:00, I am there at 8:45. Like, seriously.
Okay, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the way that you approach time is different. It really don't have nothing about, why are you taking it so personal?
Well, I think it goes to your point that, when we try to make people into something that they're not, or we want them to be like us, meaning like I'm good on my time by myself. But if I tried to, if you compare me to your time, which is what we do to our spouses.
There's a razzle in the house. There's a fuss in the house. There's a kids get in the car. There's blood pressure that's being raised.
In the morning before school?
Before school, coming
That
to church.
is not my time.
Coming
That
to
is
church,
their
you come
time.
and like worship is going on. How many times do you come in and worship has already started? Tell me.
Only a couple. And
Oh
they've
my
been
God.
recently.
You should stop this podcast right now.
Maybe
That is
like
not true.
5 in the whole 15 years.
50% of the time, the song is going on and you come in. It might only be 10 seconds late, but the song is going on. It counts down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're dancing. Oh, here you come. 50%
I feel like
of the
in
time.
the last month, that could possibly be true, but that's not. I don't think so.
So my point is this. Like, I ain't even try to change that. If that's what you want to do, have I said one thing to you about it?
No. Yes.
No, because that's how you are. That's my point. And I know that you're offended, and I don't even know why you're offended. Because that ain't even the point of what I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make here
I
is
just
that...
need you to make accurate points, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so you're the most
'Cause
timely
that's
person
not
I've ever
accurate.
met in my life. Okay, well, whatever the case
The point is my time isn't your time.
Well, the point is, let's use this as an example. There's no way that I'm going to win this argument. So I have to now derail because that's not going to change. Like, you have to get the last word in.
Oh, no, he did not.
You do have to get the
No,
last
he
word
did
in
not
all the
go
time.
there.
So many times what I do is I just...
Why did you go there?
Because you're not going to change that.
I'm not even saying anything. I didn't even say the last word.
What I'm saying is that...
Why are we talking about the last word?
Many times, because it is not about the last word. The principle is that
gonna let you have the
you're
last
just
word.
not going to change those things, okay? And the question is, can I handle you not changing? And the answer for me is yes. Pat on the back, bullhorns, fireworks go off because I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Thank you so much. Do you have anything valid to bring to today's podcast?
I don't believe I do at this moment.
Okay. Can you handle me not changing? Okay. And so there's been a bunch of stuff. You kind of stopped my list short because you wanted to nitpick all of it. But whatever it is, okay? Whether it's not,
No.
okay, you looked at those things as negative. Let me try to get some positive things.
No, there's some...
You're not going to get up fast. You like it being very quiet. That's not going to change about you.
Right.
You're going to go to bed early. I'm going to go to bed late and get up early. That's not going to change about me. It's not going to change about you.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to give you negative things. My point all I was saying is this, is that can you handle that? That's a question that you need to ask somebody. Can you handle me not changing because of the subconscious pressure of trying to change somebody into something that they're not?
I mean, I get it. And it's not only, we don't only ask the other person, but we ask ourselves, can we handle them not changing? And that's what I was saying earlier when you said that I jumped the gun, that you have to be a fruit inspector, that you know a tree by its fruit, with finances, with whether they're on time or not, with what kind of food they eat and their eating habits and their lifestyle habits, what friends do they hang around. These are all, if they don't change their circle of friends, are you still going to love them? Can you still be with them for the rest of their lives?
Right. And so I don't know. I just feel like we talk to a lot of married people, and I feel like let's just talk about wives. I know some wives that are trying to change their husbands into something that they will never change into, never want to be, never even thought they needed to be before they got married. And the marriage sucks because the wife is trying to change the husband into something that he can't change into. Vice versa. There's guys that's trying to change their wife into something that she is just not. So the question is valid.
It's a good question. And I find, this is just through my experience in pastoring over many, many years, either the wife or the husband who has the problem is usually, they're the more ambitious one. They're the one that wants to start businesses and, run companies and take over the world. They want to do do ministry and everything and take over the world. But their spouse is like, I'm good. If it's the wife, she's like, look, I got these kids. I'm taking care of these kids. I'm good staying at home. I'm good doing this. I'm good making dinner, whatever. Or the husband's like, look, I got this job. It pays our benefits. It pays our lights. Like, I'm good with this. I like having time on the weekend to sit down and watch the football games and take my children to their basketball games. Like, I don't want to take over the world. But the person who does want to take over the world, they look down on like, they don't do this and that. And they're not an influencer and they don't, that's not fair. That's not fair.
Well, now you're speaking from straight up experience. And as you're talking, I had several wives go through my head. Some of them are still married. Some of them are divorced now. And it's almost like we project this thing on men. Well, you got to be the leader. You got to be the leader. And you got to be the leader. And that is true. But how he leads might be different than how you would lead, how another husband is leading. And if you are projecting expectations on him that he cannot meet because that's not his personality or his gifting, we got to figure out how he can lead, but out of his gift, out of his wheelhouse,
Absolutely.
out of his gift set. And that's a big one. It's a big one. There's
but
some
as a
ambitious
wife,
person.
As a wife, we have the grace to find out and to lift up the gift of God and the call of God that's on the inside of our spouse. Like, that's what we do.
Yeah. And well, some of us just celebrate what he is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can camp out on what he ain't or what she ain't. But celebrate what he is.
Absolutely.
He's faithful. He's at home. He can cook. He takes care of the kids. Okay, so he's not making $500,000 a year. if that's what you want to do, you make $500,000 a year.
Exactly.
And you know what I'm saying? It's almost like
you don't have to make more money to be the leader.
Right.
Being the leader is a spiritual thing, something ordained by God.
Yeah.
It is, you don't have to make, what is it, 2023? Like,
I do want to do a podcast to really help men lead well. And I do feel like there is a lot of men who do not know how to lead their homes
I agree.
well. And a lot of it's because we've never had leadership in front of us
Never
before.
had an example.
Never had an example. And leadership skills, many times we think we're born with them, but they have to be developed. They have to be cultivated. They have to be learned. And there's no like school of being a husband or school of being a father. That's what we should start.
I'm saying I think that's a podcast right there because I didn't grow up with a positive example of a man. And there are things that I would just like to ask you. You grew up with fathers. You grew up with uncles.
Yeah.
You are an example. You're a good husband, I would just like to ask you some things.
Yeah, I'm the product of strong men. I'm the product of strong men, from great uncles to dads, to grandfather to one of my grandfathers passed before I was born, but my other grandfather, men of God in church. I'm the product of great pastors and great spiritual mentorship. And many times when we don't have great men in our life, we can look to the church and don't discount that because there are great examples there. But yeah, maybe we'll do that. If you guys want that, just let us know. But let's get to the third one. This is the third question I feel like you got to ask before marriage. And it is, will you love me when you don't like me? Okay. Now, Tabatha has just shown off today, but I still love her.
You didn't like me 3 times
today.
today.
On the edge right now, but my love will rebound. And so I think in life, you're going to have rifts. You're going to have some things that people do. We actually released the podcast, Help. My wife gets on my spouse gets on my nerves, like what to do. Because I think sometimes when we get on each other's nerves, there is this thought of the enemy, well, then I need to find someone who doesn't get on my nerves. But the truth is that all people going to get on your nerves. Matter of fact, the closer they are to you, at some point, if it's a real relationship, I mean, you think about it, like my parents have gotten on my nerves before. Not a lot because they're just cool. But they have at some point in my life. My sister has gotten on my nerves before. The people that I work with have gotten on my nerves. My pastor's gotten on my nerves before. Them kids we got, they get on my nerves like very consistently. You've gotten on my nerves before. It's just life. So I think we need to normalize that and ask the question. Here's the question up front. But can you love me when you don't like me?
Yeah.
And I didn't say, can you love me if you don't like me? Because that means like if, when you don't like me. There's going to come a place when you don't like something I said, something I did.
Right.
Can you still love me?
Right. Yeah, I think we have to stop taking ourselves so seriously and learn to find joy in life and the humor in life. Like a lot of times, yes, sometimes it's not about the other people and what they're doing. Sometimes it's just me and my own attitude and where I am, and I don't feel well. Maybe I have a headache or something, and people get on my nerves just because they're breathing.
Talk about it.
The funniest thing that ever happened, one of the funniest things that ever happened with my kids is I had 3 of my kids in the backseat of the car. They were like 2, 4, and 2, 3, and like what? 8. And the little girl, the middle one, was crying because our son, he would just do things to aggravate her, and he was poking her, and he said, but mommy, he's touching me. And then she was fussing, and then I turned around and said, stop it. And she said, but mommy, he's breathing on me. And she's like, baby girl, this is your issue, okay? Right. You're the one with the problem right now. And I just try to laugh at myself. Like if we're in our bedroom and you do something to get on my nerves and you jump in the bed and it's just like, I just feel like I'm on a sitcom sometimes. I imagine myself like if the world were watching right now, they would laugh with me because everybody's crazy. You just have to find the humor in life. Like we're supposed to enjoy every moment. And so even those times where like just a second ago, you got on my nerves too. You actually pushed buttons. You pushed that button when the last word, that is a button for me. If you didn't know that is a button.
Which one?
When you try to tell me, oh, you just want to get the last word. And then if I say something, he's like, see? And I'm like, no, but I just wanted to see. But I'll flip this table over. Anyway, but you just have to laugh at it. You just have to laugh at it.
Right. Well, this question really makes me think of the infatuation stage of relationships. And I think the infatuation stage statistically is the first 3 months to 3 years, they say. And that's when endorphins are high and you have butterfly feelings in your stomach off the newness of a relationship. But I think we get stuck in that stage. And then we compare the rest of our relationship to that stage. We actually idolize the infatuation stage, but the infatuation stage is only a stage. And then we compare our spouse or even God sometimes to how things was in the beginning. Like when I first got filled with the Holy Spirit, it's like I heard the voice of God and I prayed and got answers. 20 years in, I just don't feel that same way any longer. It's because now you're supposed to be grown in your relationship.
Yeah.
That was the infatuation stage. Same with in a marriage relationship. When we first got together, you could do no wrong. Like touch me, breathe on me, whatever the kids don't like, do it all. I just wanted to be in your presence. But I make a mistake if I, now 24 years into this marriage, always judge the infatuation stage as our highlights when it was only a stage. And so the truth is that as we continue on this journey, there's going to be stages. And there's going to be stages of your cycle. There's going to be stages we don't feel good. There's going to be stages where maybe we made an investment that went awry, but can you love me when you don't like me? Can you love me when you don't like me? And so I don't know. I'm happy to say that 24 years into it, we're best friends. 24 years into it, I do love you, and I don't just love you, but I also like you. And I even like all of those nuances. You didn't give me a chance. I was going to conclude this way.
Go ahead and conclude, baby.
Now, when you show up late, it is kind of cute. That's just you. You're bubbly, you're happy, you're yourself. You got to get the last word in. That's just my thing. You might be upset at it, but it's, if you were a fly on the wall of my house, you would say, yeah, that chick she's going to say something. She's not going to let it die. I've seen you do it a couple times lately, though. I've seen you do it a couple times here recently. I was saying something and you just shut up. You ain't say nothing else. You just let it ride. But before that, man, it was, I'm going to come back and I'm going to come back and I'm going to come back and I'm going to come. But now it's cute. It's cute. That's just a part of who you are. That's just a part of who you are. You're upset that I'm bringing it up again. That's cute. It's just a part of who you are.
I wish there was a fly on the wall.
I wish there was.
Because then this whole thing would be
Because the fly on the wall would
squashed.
tell y'all
The fly
how
would
this
tell
woman
you a
be
different story
laughing
than what he's telling
hysterically
you.
at 2 a.m. in the morning for no
Now
reason.
that would be the truth.
No reason. Waking me up.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, why are you like... I'm like,
it is
I'm dead
hilarious.
asleep. I mean, these things could get on your nerves, but I've just decided
sorry.
to love you even when I don't like you.
That's very true.
And, I believe that, liking is a very important part of our relationship. I mean, I don't want to undermine it. Like, love is huge. Like, everything we do, it's the agape love of God, 1 Corinthians 13. It's patient, it's kind, it's long-suffering, it doesn't keep an account of evil, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know. I think it's important that we also like each other.
Yeah.
And if you fall out of like, I think you can do some things to start to fall back into like.
Yeah.
And sometimes liking is a first step to loving. Just like loving is a first step to liking. I choose to love you. And then because I choose to love you, I'm going to figure out a way to like you. That doesn't mean I like everything you do. That doesn't mean I like all of your idiosyncrasies. That just means that my love covers all those.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm going to choose to like you. You've taken my last name. You're my best friend. We've built businesses together. We've built ministry together. You've cared for me when I haven't felt good. I've cared for you when you haven't felt good. And if we can't be mature enough to find out our like inside of the love, I think we need to go back to the drawing board and start to date again and start to be fascinated with each other again. And, I was holding you the other day and I could smell your smell and I could feel your skin. I did have a little butterfly, a little infatuation stage butterfly, because I was so intentional of focusing on my care for you. And I think that the infatuation stage might could get drug out a little bit longer with some intentionality.
Yeah.
I don't know anything else on that. I feel like I'm kind of done.
I love what you just said, just like rekindling that fire, sometimes, and it does take intentionality. I think after, 24 years of marriage, sometimes we just accidentally there's a spark in a blaze and it's like, whoa, what's that? And you and I both feel the butterflies. It might be like on vacation at the beach or, just somewhere. It's just like, it might be an old song that we listen to. And, it's just,
right.
marriage is good. But I do want to say this because this is what to do before you get married. And I think in order to kind of safeguard yourself from, I guess you talked about that butterfly feeling. And I think the easiest thing to do is to not have sex before you're married. Because I think once you have sex, and I'll speak for a woman, once you have sex, I mean, you just emotionally, it's there. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to overlook a whole lot of stuff because you are emotionally connected to this guy. And so he could be, cheating on you. He could be like the worst, but that connection that you have and how you've opened yourself up to him, how you've given yourself to him, it's kind of like you just overlook a whole lot of stuff. And when you get married, you figure out, I don't even like him. We don't like the same food. We don't even like to do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's never too late to say, okay, yeah, we are in a sexual relationship right now, but let's cut it out. Let's figure out, do we for the rest of our lives?
Come on, so good. And so write down this takeaway if you can, guys. All right, here's the 3 questions. All right, this is what you ask. Can you handle me changing? Okay. Can you handle me not changing? Can you love me when you don't like me? And I believe that would save somebody a bunch of heartache, okay? Hey, we're out of time for today, but we want to say thank you so much for tuning into our broadcast today. We're doing something special starting now through all of the end of the year. We're having a special opportunity of giving in our church that we call Super Sunday that is coming up on the first Sunday in December. If this podcast and this ministry has been a blessing to you, if you feel like it's added value to our life, we would love for you to prayerfully consider making a donation or sowing a seed into it so that we can simply reach more people on next year than we did this year. Doesn't matter the amount, just simply ask God and say, God, what would you have for me to give? I think there's a link in our show notes of where you can give. Of course, you can go to mylifechurch.org/give. There's different ways you can give, but just know that whatever you give will enable us to help more marriages, reach more people all around the world. Some of the reviews, some of the testimonies that have been coming in have been absolutely amazing. And we believe that when you partner with us, you will be a partaker of the same anointing that is upon this ministry. We believe you'll be a partaker of that as well. So we speak the favor of God over you, unity over your relationships, and the blessing of the Lord upon you. Okay? If you enjoyed today's show, make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you can be the first to get the content. We release a new show every Thursday at 3 p.m. And also, email us, man. We would love to hear your testimony. Share what God's doing in your life. Anything in closing, sweetheart?
Hey, if you're ever in Orlando, come out and visit us.
Yeah, come hang out with us. Not just Mickey Mouse, but come to a live church.
That's right.
We'll take good care of you.
We'll have a fun time.
All right. So until the next time, we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Peace.